This message arrived 3 weeks ago from a viewer named Colin, and when I finished reading it, I sat in silence for nearly an hour. It wasn't the story of a man who lost everything to a bar girl. It wasn't the tale of someone who got drunk and made stupid decisions in Pattaya. It was something far more unsettling. Because Colin Marsh did everything right, he researched Thailand for 2 years before moving. He kept his finances separate. He learned basic Thai. He avoided the obvious tourist traps and the women who worked them. He built what he thought was a careful, sustainable life in Chiang Mai. And after 8 years, he's packing his bags and leaving forever. What makes Colin's story so disturbing isn't what happened to him specifically. It's what he witnessed happening to everyone around him. Dozens of men, some careful and some careless, some wealthy and some modest, some married and some single, all reaching the same conclusion at roughly the same time. Thailand isn't working anymore. Not for them. Not for the men who came seeking paradise and found something far more complicated waiting beneath the surface. While you're watching, let me know where you're tuning in from. I always check the comments, and these stories seem to resonate with people from all over the world. Colin wanted me to share not just his story, but the stories of 6 other men he knew personally. 7 reasons, he called them. 7 ways that Thailand breaks the men who come here believing they've found the answer to everything. Some of these stories will make you angry. Some will make you sad. Some might make you reconsider plans you've already made. But all of them are true. And all of them are happening right now to men just like you, in a country that markets itself as paradise while operating as something else entirely. My name is Colin Marsh. I'm 57 years old, originally from Manchester. And I need to tell you about the worst realization of my life. If you've been enjoying the stories I tell, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Your support is crucial for the growth of this channel and helps me dedicate time to making these videos despite my commitment to a full-time job. Thank you for being here. The moving boxes are stacked against the wall in neat rows, 12 of them. That's what 8 years in Thailand reduces to when you're honest about what actually matters. 12 boxes of books, clothes, documents, and a few souvenirs I'll probably throw away once I reach Portugal. Through my window, I can see the Chiang Mai mountains disappearing into the afternoon haze. That view cost me 18,000 baht a month when I first moved into this apartment. Now it costs 25,000. The view hasn't improved. Nothing has improved. But everything costs more. 8 years ago, I stepped off a plane in Bangkok thinking I'd found the answer to everything. I was 50 years old, freshly divorced after 23 years of marriage, watching my children build lives that didn't include me, working a job that had stopped meaning anything decades earlier. I'd accumulated 180,000 pounds in savings and a pension that provided 2,100 pounds monthly. In England, that meant a modest retirement. In Thailand, according to every YouTube video and expat forum I consulted, it meant luxury, cheap living, warm weather year-round, beautiful women who actually seemed interested in middle-aged men from Manchester, a community of like-minded expats who'd figured out what I was just discovering, a culture that respected elders instead of warehousing them. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, as it turns out. And I'm not alone. Every week now, I watch another mate pack up and leave. Men who swore they'd die here are booking one-way tickets back to countries they swore they'd never return to. Men who've lived in Thailand for 15 years, 20 years. Men who married Thai women and built businesses and learned the language and did everything right. They're leaving, not in a trickle anymore, in an exodus. I want to tell you why. Not to scare you off necessarily, but because someone should have told me this 8 years ago. Would I have listened? Probably not. I was too enchanted by the fantasy, too desperate to escape the gray English reality I'd inhabited for half a century. But maybe you'll listen. Maybe you're smarter than I was. Maybe hearing what happened to me and the men I've known will save you from making the same mistakes. 7 reasons. That's what I've distilled from 8 years of watching, listening, and eventually understanding. 7 ways that Thailand systematically dismantles the retirement dreams of Western men. Let me introduce you to the first one. Trevor Hollingsworth arrived in Thailand the same year I did, though we didn't meet until 2021. He was 62 years old, Australian, from Perth originally, with that weathered look that men get after decades in the mining industry. He'd worked as an administrator for one of the big resources companies. Never married, always awkward with women, always more comfortable with spreadsheets than with people. He came to Thailand because he'd heard the same things I'd heard. The dating market was easier for Western men. The women were more traditional, more appreciative, less demanding. A man didn't need to be handsome or charming or interesting. He just needed to be foreign and financially stable. Trevor was careful. I want to emphasize that because it matters. He wasn't some drunk stumbling out of bars in Pattaya, throwing money at any woman who smiled at him. He researched. He read the forums. He understood the obvious scams and avoided them. He met Fawn through a dating app designed for serious relationships, not the sort of app where women advertise themselves by the hour. She was 34, worked as a marketing consultant for a legitimate company, spoke excellent English, had her own apartment, her own car, her own life. She insisted from their first date that she wasn't interested in his money. She had a career. She wanted companionship, not a sponsor. They dated for 2 years. Trevor paid for dinners, trips, the normal things a man pays for when courting a woman. But he didn't pay her rent. He didn't give her a monthly allowance. He didn't buy her a car or a condo or gold jewelry. He thought he was being smart. He thought he'd figured out how to have a Thai girlfriend without becoming a walking ATM. What Trevor didn't understand was that Fawn was playing a different game entirely. A longer game. A game he never saw coming because he was too busy congratulating himself on avoiding the obvious traps. It started about 8 months into their relationship. Fawn mentioned, casually, that a friend of hers was developing a condominium project in Pattaya. The friend needed foreign investors to secure financing. The returns were guaranteed at 12% annually, far better than any bank. Fawn wasn't asking Trevor to invest, she emphasized. She just thought he might be interested, given his financial background. Trevor was interested. He researched the development. He visited the construction site. He met the developer, a Thai man in an expensive suit who spoke fluent English and produced impressive documentation. Everything checked out. The land titles were real. The construction permits were real. The projected returns were optimistic but not impossible. Trevor invested 50,000 Australian dollars. 6 months later, Fawn mentioned another opportunity, a restaurant franchise that her cousin was launching, Thai Western Fusion, targeting the tourist market. The business plan was solid. The location was prime. Trevor visited, met the cousin, reviewed the numbers. He invested another 40,000. Then came the cryptocurrency platform, exclusive to Thailand. Incredible yields. Early investors were already seeing 30% returns. Fawn had put her own money in, she said. Her family had invested. This was the opportunity of a lifetime. Trevor invested $100,000. Over 18 months, Trevor put 340,000 Australian dollars into investments that Fawn introduced him to. Every single one came with professional documentation, site visits, meetings with developers and fund managers who answered every question confidently and thoroughly. When Trevor tried to withdraw his profits from the cryptocurrency platform, he discovered it had been shut down for regulatory compliance issues. When he tried to sell his stake in the condo development, he learned the project had been delayed indefinitely due to permit problems. When he visited the restaurant, he found an empty storefront with a "for lease" sign in the window. Fawn was apologetic. She'd lost money too, she said. Her family had lost money. This wasn't her fault. These were legitimate investments that had simply failed. It happened in business. Trevor hired a lawyer. The lawyer's investigation revealed that the condo development had never broken ground. The land existed, but no construction permits had ever been issued. The documentation Trevor had reviewed was forged. The developer was an actor. The restaurant had never operated a single day. The cryptocurrency platform had never existed except as a website designed to display whatever numbers its operators wanted to display. Fawn disappeared 2 weeks after the lawyer filed his first inquiry. Her phone was disconnected. Her apartment was vacant. Her Facebook profile was deleted. The marketing company she'd claimed to work for had never employed anyone by her name. Trevor spent another $40,000 on lawyers trying to recover something, anything. He recovered nothing. Thai authorities were sympathetic but unhelpful. This was a civil matter, they explained. The perpetrators were unknown. The money was gone. I saw Trevor the week before he flew back to Perth. We sat in a bar in Chiang Mai, and he drank whiskey while telling me his story in the flat, exhausted voice of a man who'd stopped feeling anything about it. I thought I was too smart to be scammed, he said. I didn't pay for a girlfriend. I didn't send money to Sick Buffalo. I didn't buy a house in some woman's name. I did everything the forums told me to do. He finished his drink and signaled for another. I didn't realize the girlfriend was just the delivery mechanism for the real scam. Trevor is 63 now. He lives in a rental apartment in Perth. He works part-time as a consultant for mining companies because his retirement savings are gone. He had enough to live comfortably for 30 years. Now he's not sure he has enough to live at all. The romance scams have evolved. They're not bar girls asking for money for sick relatives anymore. Those still exist, certainly, but the sophisticated operators have moved on to something more elegant. They create girlfriends who don't ask for money directly. Girlfriends who have their own careers and their own apartments and their own financial independence. Girlfriends who wait months or years, building trust, before introducing the real product. Investment opportunities, business ventures, sure things that require foreign capital. The girlfriend is just the sales funnel. The relationship is just the setup. The real scam is the investment, and by the time it's presented, the mark has been so thoroughly cultivated that he never questions why his loving girlfriend is introducing him to financial opportunities instead of asking for cash. I've watched at least a dozen men I know personally lose 6 figures to variations of this scheme. Trevor lost the most, but he's not alone. Some lost everything. Some went home. A few are still here, broke and embarrassed, working online jobs to afford their rent because they can't face admitting to family back home what happened. The forums don't warn you about this version of the scam. The YouTube videos don't mention it. Everyone talks about the obvious cons, the sick buffalo and the motorcycle accidents and the family emergencies. Nobody talks about the long game, the 2-year relationship that exists solely to position you for an investment pitch. Nobody talks about Fawn. Eric Lindquist was a digital nomad before anyone called it that. Swedish, 49 years old, a freelance software developer who'd been working remotely from Thailand since 2012. He was perfectly legal, he believed. Sweden and Thailand had no tax treaty conflicts. He paid Swedish taxes on his Swedish income. He wasn't taking jobs from Thai workers. He was just a man with a laptop, earning money from clients 10,000 kilometers away while enjoying Thailand's weather and low costs. For years, Eric navigated Thailand's visa system through a combination of methods. Tourist visas that allowed 60-day stays, extended once for another 30 days. Education visas tied to Thai language schools, which he actually attended because he genuinely wanted to learn the language. Occasional border runs to neighboring countries to reset his tourist status. It was annoying, certainly. It required planning and expense and periodic inconvenience, but it was manageable. Then the rules started changing. The education visas became harder to obtain. Schools that had operated for decades were suddenly shut down for compliance issues. The remaining schools faced increased scrutiny, and students whose attendance records weren't perfect found their visas revoked without warning. Eric had always attended his classes religiously, but now that wasn't enough. Immigration wanted documentation of educational progress. What did that mean? Nobody seemed to know exactly. The requirements shifted monthly. Tourist visa exemptions came under heavier scrutiny too. Immigration officers who had waved Eric through for years suddenly wanted to see return tickets, hotel bookings, proof of onward travel, evidence of sufficient funds. Some officers demanded 20,000 baht in cash. Some wanted bank statements. Some simply denied entry for reasons they didn't explain. Eric decided to solve the problem permanently. He applied for the Thailand Elite Visa, a paid program that supposedly offered 5 years of hassle-free residency. The cost was 600,000 baht, approximately 17,000 US dollars. Expensive, but worth it for peace of mind. No more visa runs. No more anxious arrivals at immigration. No more wondering if today was the day some officer decided to cause problems. He paid. The visa was granted. He thought his worries were over. Then he discovered what the elite visa actually permitted. It allowed him to stay in Thailand. It did not allow him to work in Thailand. Any work, including remote work for foreign clients who had no presence in Thailand whatsoever. Eric had assumed that working on his laptop for Swedish companies, earning Swedish kroner, had nothing to do with Thai work permits. The Thai government disagreed. Work was work. If you performed it on Thai soil, you needed Thai work authorization. The elite visa provided residency, not work permission. Every time Eric opened his laptop to code for a client, he was technically breaking Thai law. The penalty, if enforced, was imprisonment and deportation. Would it be enforced? Probably not. Immigration rarely targeted digital nomads working quietly in their apartments. But probably not isn't the same as definitely not. The law existed. Enforcement was arbitrary. Every few months, news would circulate about some foreigner arrested for working without permission. Usually, the circumstances involved something more visible than laptop work, a person teaching English or running a business. But the law made no distinction between teaching a classroom and writing code in a cafe. Eric lived in constant low-grade anxiety. He was careful never to mention work in any interaction with Thai officials. He claimed to be retired, living on savings, despite being 49 and obviously not retired. Every time he renewed his elite visa privileges at immigration, he wondered if this would be the day someone asked how he supported himself. The digital nomad visa Thailand announced was supposed to solve this problem. Eric applied immediately. The requirements seemed reasonable. Proof of income, proof of employment or self-employment, health insurance, a clean criminal record. He gathered the documentation and submitted his application. The requirements changed 2 weeks later. Now he needed proof of income at a higher threshold. He gathered new documentation and resubmitted. The requirements changed again. Now he needed employment verification in a specific format that his Swedish clients couldn't provide because Swedish companies don't issue that type of documentation. The processing time extended from 60 days to 90 days to indefinite pending review. His elite visa was still valid. His residency was still legal. His work status remained illegal. He'd spent $17,000 to remain a criminal in the eyes of Thai law, just a criminal with nice residency privileges. Eric left Thailand last year. He's in Portugal now, which offers a straightforward digital nomad visa with clear rules, reasonable costs, and actual legal permission to work remotely. The application took 3 weeks. The requirements didn't change during processing. The visa explicitly authorizes remote work for foreign clients. He knows exactly what he's allowed to do and what he isn't. He misses Thailand's food. He misses the tropical weather. He misses the friends he made over more than a decade. He doesn't miss the constant uncertainty, the feeling of building a life on foundations that could shift without warning. Thailand doesn't want long-term foreign residents. That's what Eric concluded, and I've reached the same conclusion. The country wants tourists who spend money and leave. The visa system is designed to keep foreigners perpetually temporary, perpetually insecure, perpetually paying fees to agents and lawyers who may or may not be able to solve whatever immigration problem arises next. The elite visa costs a fortune and doesn't let you work. The retirement visa requires 800,000 baht locked in a Thai bank account and sworn documentation that you'll never earn a single baht on Thai soil. The digital nomad visa exists in theory but barely functions in practice, with requirements that shift like sand and processing times that stretch toward infinity. Every year, the rules get stricter. Every year, the scrutiny increases. Every year, men who've lived here for decades suddenly find themselves without legal options, their residency dependent on bureaucratic whims they cannot predict or control. When your right to remain in a country depends on the mood of an immigration officer having a bad day, that's not a home. That's a hotel that might kick you out at any moment. Robert Castellucci, who everyone called Bob, was the most careful man I knew in Thailand. 66 years old, from New Jersey, a retired union electrician who'd spent his career doing everything by the book and saw no reason to change that approach in retirement. Bob arrived in Thailand in 2016 with $95,000 in savings and a pension that deposited $4,200 into his American bank account every single month. He'd done the math. In New Jersey, that pension covered a modest apartment and not much else. In Thailand, it made him wealthy. He could live in a nice condo, eat well, travel occasionally, and still add to his savings every month. But Bob was careful. He'd read the horror stories. He knew about men who'd lost everything to Thai wives who vanished with their assets. He knew about the property scams and the business failures and the girlfriends who were really just slow-motion bank robberies. He did everything the forums recommended. He didn't marry hastily, waiting 3 years before proposing to his Thai girlfriend. He didn't buy property in her name, renting instead of purchasing. He kept his finances completely separate, maintaining his American accounts and giving his girlfriend a monthly allowance rather than access to his money. He didn't invest in any Thai business or development or opportunity, no matter how promising it seemed. Bob followed every rule. He avoided every trap. He thought he was safe. What Bob didn't account for was his own body. In March 2022, Bob had a heart attack. He was sitting in a cafe in Bangkok, drinking his morning coffee, when his chest seized and his left arm went numb and the world tilted sideways. Someone called an ambulance. Someone performed CPR. Someone saved his life before the paramedics arrived. Emergency surgery. 2 weeks in a private Bangkok hospital, which was excellent. Among the best cardiac care in Asia, his doctors assured him. State-of-the-art facilities, English-speaking staff, comfortable private room with a view of the city. The bill for saving Bob's life was 2.8 million baht, approximately $80,000. Bob's American health insurance didn't cover overseas treatment. He'd checked when he first moved to Thailand years ago, and the policy was clear. Coverage applied only within the United States. He'd meant to purchase international insurance, but the premium seemed expensive for a healthy man in his early 60s, and he kept postponing the decision. The heart attack wiped out his savings in a single month. $95,000, accumulated over a lifetime of careful work and careful spending, gone to pay for 2 weeks in a hospital bed. But the costs didn't end there. Bob now needed ongoing cardiac care, medications that cost $400 monthly, regular checkups with specialists. The knowledge lurking in the back of his mind every moment of every day that another cardiac event could happen anytime. His heart had failed once. Hearts that fail once often fail again. Thai hospitals wanted payment up front for any procedure. No Thai hospital would treat him on credit. If his heart stopped again, he'd need cash or a credit card with a high enough limit to cover whatever intervention was required. Without payment, there would be no treatment. His pension, which had seemed so generous in Thai terms, suddenly felt thin when measured against the possibility of another $80,000 emergency. $4,200 a month was plenty for rent and food and a comfortable life. It wasn't plenty when any given month might bring a medical catastrophe that cost 2 years of income. Bob started researching his options. International health insurance was now nearly impossible to obtain. His pre-existing cardiac condition meant premiums of $3,000, monthly or outright denial of coverage. Thai health insurance for foreigners excluded pre-existing conditions and capped payouts at amounts that wouldn't cover another serious event. He considered his situation with the clear-eyed pragmatism that had guided his entire career. He was 68 now. His heart was compromised. Thailand offered no safety net for foreign residents. If something serious happened, he would pay, or he would suffer, or he would die. Meanwhile, the United States had Medicare. Imperfect, certainly, but available. If he returned home, his health care would be covered. Not luxuriously, but covered. He wouldn't face bankruptcy if his heart failed again. Bob left Thailand in 2023. He lives in his sister's spare bedroom in New Jersey now. His pension covers his expenses, barely. His savings are gone. His Thai girlfriend of 4 years declined to accompany him. She had her own life, she explained. Her family was in Thailand. Her friends were in Thailand. She couldn't just leave everything. Bob understood. He'd always understood that the relationship had conditions, even when those conditions weren't spoken aloud. He wasn't bitter. He was just tired and realistic and aware that a man with a bad heart needs to be somewhere that won't let him die because he can't pay. Healthcare is the hidden trap in Thailand. When you're 55 and healthy, you don't think much about what happens at 65 with a failing heart. Thai hospitals are excellent, genuinely among the best in the world, but they're expensive. International insurance premiums increase every year as you age, and they become astronomical or unavailable once you develop any serious condition. The moment something significant happens, you realize your comfortable pension doesn't stretch as far as you believed. Cancer, stroke, heart disease. The things that happen to bodies in their 60s and 70s. The actuarial inevitabilities of aging. Thailand has no safety net for foreign residents facing these realities. You pay, or you suffer, or you go home. I'm 57, healthy enough for now. But I've watched too many friends carried out on financial ruin or medical stretchers to pretend it won't happen to me eventually. Portugal has reciprocal healthcare agreements with the United Kingdom. If I get sick there, the system will catch me. Thailand has nothing but a bill. Dennis Armitage arrived in Pattaya in 2018 with 120,000 pounds and a fierce determination to finally live. He was 61, recently retired from a factory supervisor position in Birmingham, divorced for the second time, estranged from both adult children who viewed his move to Thailand as abandonment of the grandchildren he'd barely known anyway. Dennis had spent 40 years being responsible, showing up to work on time, paying his bills, maintaining a house that never felt like home, enduring marriages that had calcified into mutual tolerance. He'd done everything society expected, and what had it gotten him? A small pension, a smaller flat, and the prospect of 20 more years watching rain streak down English windows. Thailand was supposed to be different. Thailand was supposed to be the reward for all those gray decades of duty. His first 2 years were everything the brochures promised. Bars that never closed, beaches that never ended, women who laughed at his jokes and made him feel interesting and desired for the first time since he couldn't remember when. He lost weight. He gained confidence. He told everyone back home that he'd never felt more alive. The novelty wore off sometime in year 3. The bar girls who'd seemed so friendly were friendly with everyone who bought drinks. Their attention wasn't personal, it was professional. When Dennis stopped spending, the attention stopped too. The warmth he'd interpreted as genuine interest was a transaction, and he was foolish for ever believing otherwise. The expat community he'd joined was competitive and gossipy in ways he found exhausting. Men comparing their bargains and conquests like teenagers. Men lying about their financial situations, pretending to wealth they didn't have. Men tearing down other men to feel better about their own choices. The friendships he formed were drinking buddies, not real friends. Nobody he could call at 3 a.m. when the darkness closed in. His children didn't call on his birthday. His grandchildren were growing up without him, and he'd made that choice, and now he had to live with it. His ex-wife remarried and posted photos on Facebook of her new life, happy in ways she'd never been happy with him. Dennis had freedom. He had sunshine. He had cheap beer and access to women a third his age whenever he wanted them. He had everything the YouTube videos promised. He'd never felt more alone in his life. The drinking escalated without him quite noticing. What started as social, the beers with expat mates and the whiskeys in go-go bars, became solitary. Bottles in his apartment, consumed alone while watching television he didn't care about. He gained back the weight he'd lost, and then some. He stopped exercising. He stopped leaving his apartment, except to resupply. I haven't seen Dennis in 4 months. Mutual friends say he rarely emerges from his room anymore. His blinds stay closed. His phone often goes unanswered. He's alive, as far as anyone knows. Whether what he's doing constitutes living is another question. Dennis isn't leaving Thailand. Dennis can't leave Thailand. He has nothing to return to, no family that wants him, no friends who remember him, no place that feels like home. He burned those bridges when he left, and the ashes have long since scattered. He's trapped here, not by visa restrictions or financial limitations, but by the absence of anywhere else to go. He's one of the ones who will die here. Not in the romantic way. The expat who found his final paradise and passed peacefully in the tropical sunset. In the other way. The expat found dead in his apartment after the smell alerted neighbors, the body that gets cremated because nobody claims it, the name that becomes a cautionary tale other expats tell over beers. This is the part the YouTube videos never show. The men who came for paradise and found isolation. The men whose Thai girlfriends were their only real social connection, and who have nothing when the girlfriend leaves or the money runs out. The men who thought freedom from responsibility would feel like liberation, and discovered it feels like floating in space, untethered from anything that gives life meaning. Thailand doesn't cause loneliness, but it doesn't cure loneliness either. The sunshine and the cheap living and the available women are all distractions, not solutions. If you come here running from yourself, you'll find yourself waiting when you arrive. The same emptiness, the same dissatisfaction, the same sense that something essential is missing, just with better weather. I think about Dennis often. I think about how easily I could have become Dennis if a few circumstances had been different. I think about how thin the line is between the expat who builds a fulfilling life abroad and the expat who drinks himself to death in a rented room. The difference, as far as I can tell, is having something real relationships, not transactional ones, real purpose, not just the absence of obligation, real connections to people who would notice if you disappeared. Dennis didn't have those things. A lot of the men who come here don't have those things. They think Thailand will provide them, and Thailand can't provide what doesn't exist inside you already. Marcus Webb made his money in HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. He built a company from nothing in suburban Texas, spent 25 years growing it into something substantial, and sold it in 2019 for enough to retire comfortably. He was 53, healthy, wealthy, and married to a Thai woman named Dao whom he'd met in Houston, where she worked legally as a licensed massage therapist. Dao wanted to return to Thailand. Her mother was aging. Her siblings had children she'd never met. She missed the food and the language and the feeling of being home. Marcus wanted adventure. He'd spent his entire life in Texas, building something, and now that something was sold, and he had no idea what came next. Thailand seemed perfect. Dao could be near her family. Marcus could explore a new country. They could build something together. They decided to open a small guest house in Krabi, on the Andaman coast. Dao found the property, a beautiful old building that needed renovation but had incredible potential. Marcus provided the capital, $180,000 for the purchase, renovation, and initial operations. Thai law required the business to be majority Thai-owned. Foreigners couldn't own land or hold controlling stakes in most businesses. This was explained to Marcus as normal, standard, the way things worked here. Dao would hold the property in her name. The business would be registered to her. Marcus would be a shareholder with a minority stake. His investment protected by contracts his lawyer assured him were ironclad. The guest house opened in 2021. It did well, exceeding their projections despite the lingering effects of the pandemic on tourism. TripAdvisor reviews praised the authentic atmosphere, the helpful staff, the beautiful location. Marcus worked alongside Dao, managing operations, handling the books, dealing with the 1,000 small problems that running a hospitality business involves. He was happy, genuinely happy in a way he'd never quite been while running his Texas company. This was smaller, simpler, more personal. He could see the guests enjoying themselves. He could measure his success in smiles rather than quarterly reports. The marriage started fracturing in year 2. The reasons were complicated, as reasons always are. Cultural differences that had seemed charming became irritating. Dao's family, whom Marcus had never entirely understood, became increasingly present and increasingly involved in decisions about the business. The stress of working together every day eroded whatever romance had survived the relocation. They separated in 2023, intending to divorce amicably. Adults who'd grown apart, nothing more dramatic than that. They agreed to split their assets fairly and move on. Amicable lasted until they discussed the guest house. Dow's position was simple. The property was in her name. The business was registered to her. She'd managed the day-to-day operations, hired the staff, dealt with the Thai bureaucracy. The guest house was hers. Marcus's position was equally simple. He'd funded the entire operation. $180,000 of his money had purchased and renovated and launched this business. They were married when the investment was made. He deserved half. Thai law sided with Dow. The property was in her name. That was the legal reality, regardless of where the money had come from. Marcus's investment was, under Thai law, a gift to his wife. He had no ownership claim to property titled solely to a Thai national. The marriage was under Thai jurisdiction, and Thai divorce courts were not sympathetic to Farang husbands claiming assets held in Thai wives' names. The contracts his lawyer had assured him were ironclad turned out to be unenforceable. They established that Marcus had provided funds. They did not establish that Marcus owned anything. Marcus spent $45,000 on lawyers over 18 months. He hired Thai attorneys and international attorneys and attorneys who specialized in cross-border asset disputes. He filed motions and appeals and complaints with every authority that might conceivably help. He recovered nothing. The guest house still operates. I looked it up recently. Strong reviews on TripAdvisor, beautiful photos, guests praising the authentic atmosphere, and the helpful owner. Dow runs it alone now. With the money Marcus provided and the business Marcus built and the life Marcus thought they were creating together. Marcus is back in Texas. He works as a consultant for HVAC companies, using his industry expertise to help others with what he'd once done himself. He's rebuilding his savings at 55, starting over from a position he'd thought he'd never occupy again. He's not bitter about Thailand, he told me. He's bitter about himself for not understanding the legal system before putting everything he had into it, for trusting contracts without understanding what contracts mean in a foreign jurisdiction, for believing that love and marriage and good intentions would somehow protect him from a system designed to favor Thai nationals over foreign investors. The legal system in Thailand is not designed to protect foreigners. This isn't a criticism. It's simply a fact. The laws exist to benefit Thai citizens, and when disputes arise between a Thai national and a foreigner, the system will generally favor the Thai national. Property ownership, business ownership, marriage law, all of it operates on this principle. I've watched men lose everything in divorces that would have split assets 50-50 in their home countries. I've watched businesses built with foreign money become Thai property overnight when relationships soured. I've watched life savings evaporate because someone didn't understand that a signature on a Thai document doesn't mean what a signature means back home. The advice I give now, to anyone who asks, is simple. Never invest more than you can afford to lose entirely. Because in Thailand, you might lose it entirely. The woman you love might become the woman who takes everything. The business you build might become the business you watch from outside. The life you create might become the life you had to leave behind. James O'Brien did everything right. He was 58, Irish, from Dublin, a retired teacher who'd spent his career fascinated by Asian culture and philosophy. He'd studied Buddhism casually for decades, meditated regularly, read everything he could find about Thai history and society. When he decided to move to Thailand in 2017, he came with genuine respect for the culture and a determination to integrate rather than colonize. He learned Thai, not tourist Thai, not survival phrases, but proper conversational Thai. He attended classes 5 days a week for 2 years, then practiced constantly with anyone willing to speak with him. By his 3rd year, he could discuss complex topics, understand humor and nuance, read newspapers with reasonable comprehension. He studied Buddhism seriously, not as an intellectual exercise, but as a spiritual practice. He meditated daily at a local temple, developed relationships with monks who guided his practice, adopted aspects of Buddhist philosophy into his daily life. He dressed appropriately, learning which clothes were acceptable where and which weren't. He learned the customs around temples and elders and social hierarchy. He showed respect consistently, not as performance but as genuine appreciation for a culture he found beautiful and profound. He dated Thai women his own age rather than chasing bar girls. He made Thai friends, or believed he did, through the temple and the language classes and the neighborhood where he rented a small house. After 7 years, James realized he was still an outsider. His Thai friends were friendly but maintained a distance he could never quite cross. There was always a reserve, a holding back, that no amount of language, fluency, or cultural knowledge seemed to penetrate. They enjoyed his company. They respected his efforts. They never quite let him in. His Thai girlfriend of 3 years had a separate social life she never invited him into. Family gatherings, celebrations with old friends. Aspects of her existence that remained Thai only, closed to the foreigner who'd learned the language and the customs and still wasn't Thai. His neighbors were polite but never warm. 7 years of living on the same street, and they still looked at him with mild curiosity when he passed, as though he'd just arrived. The Thai language, which he'd worked so hard to master, became a source of pain rather than connection. He understood more than most expats, which meant he understood when people talked about him in the third person while he stood there. The foreigner this, the Farang that. 7 years, and he was still the foreigner. A category, not a person. James left Thailand last year. He's back in Ireland now, in a country that's smaller and colder and lacks everything that had drawn him eastward. But it's a country where people see him as James, not as a Farang. A country where his presence doesn't automatically mark him as other. He doesn't regret Thailand. Exactly. He learned things there he couldn't have learned anywhere else. He had experiences that expanded his understanding of the world and himself. But he realized, eventually, that he was spending his final decades in a country that would never fully accept him, no matter how hard he tried or how long he stayed. Thailand is welcoming on the surface. Thais are among the most polite, hospitable people you'll ever meet. The smiles are genuine. The kindness is real. But there's a wall, invisible but absolute, between Thai and Farang. You can live here for decades, speak the language perfectly, marry into a Thai family, and you'll still be on the outside of something you can never enter. That's not a moral judgment. Every culture has boundaries. Every society distinguishes between those who belong and those who don't. Thailand's boundaries are simply more visible to those of us who cross them. Some men make peace with that marginality. They accept being permanent guests in a country that will never fully be home. They find satisfaction in the space Thailand offers them, even knowing that space has limits. Others, like James, eventually decide they'd rather be somewhere they actually belong, even if that somewhere is smaller and grayer and lacks the warmth and beauty that drew them away in the first place. I think about James often too, because James did everything I thought would be enough. He respected the culture. He learned the language. He made genuine efforts to integrate. And still, after 7 years, he remained the foreigner standing outside the circle. If integration isn't possible for someone like James, what hope is there for the rest of us? My own reason for leaving isn't dramatic. No scam, no heartbreak, no legal catastrophe or medical emergency or cultural disappointment. Just arithmetic. When I arrived in Thailand in 2017, my pension of £2,100 monthly converted to approximately 92,000 Thai baht. The exchange rate was favorable. The cost of living was low. I could rent a nice apartment, eat well, travel occasionally within the region, and still save a bit every month. My 180,000 in savings felt like insurance against anything unexpected. In 2025, that same pension converts to roughly 73,000 baht. The pound has weakened against the baht, eroding my purchasing power by 20% without my spending changing at all. Meanwhile, Thai prices have risen substantially. My rent has increased 40% in 8 years, and that's not unusual. The landlord explains that property values have increased, that maintenance costs more, that everything costs more. He's not wrong. The apartment hasn't improved. The view is the same. The value I receive is the same. The price is simply higher. Food costs more. Electricity costs more. Healthcare costs more. The little pleasures that made Thailand feel luxurious, nice restaurants, weekend trips to the beach, the occasional splurge on something unnecessary, all cost more than they did when I arrived. The government has introduced new fees and taxes specifically targeting foreign residents. 90-day reporting fees, visa extension fees. Talk of taxing foreign income, which would transform my tax-free pension into something significantly less comfortable. Each individual fee is manageable. Together, they add up. I sat down last year and did the math I should have done when I arrived. Not the optimistic math that assumes everything stays constant. The realistic math that accounts for exchange rate fluctuations, inflation in Thai prices, and the steady erosion of spending power that comes with living on a fixed income in a changing economy. In 2017, I was living well on my pension with money left over. In 2025, I'm breaking even. My savings have covered the difference. But savings that cover the difference don't grow. They shrink. If current trends continue, I'll be dipping into savings to maintain my current lifestyle within 3 years. In 10 years, at the current rate of erosion, the savings will be gone entirely. I'll be 70 years old, living on a pension that no longer covers my expenses in a country with no safety net for foreign residents who run out of money. Portugal offers better mathematics. The tax treatment for foreign retirees is more favorable. The healthcare system includes reciprocal agreements with the United Kingdom, meaning my health issues, when they inevitably arise, won't bankrupt me. The visa system is straightforward and stable, not subject to the constant changes and arbitrary enforcement that characterize Thailand's approach to foreign residents. Portugal isn't dramatically cheaper than Thailand anymore. That calculation has shifted over 8 years. But it's marginally better. And marginally better matters when you're 57 and need your money to last another 30 years. I'm not leaving Thailand because something terrible happened. I'm leaving because something quiet happened. The numbers stopped working. The Thailand that existed in 2015, the Thailand all those YouTube videos promised, is gone. Costs have risen, exchange rates have shifted, the visa system has tightened, the scams have gotten more sophisticated, the healthcare has gotten more expensive. The government has made clear, through policy after policy, that long-term foreign residents are a revenue source to be extracted from, rather than a community to be welcomed. I don't blame Thailand for any of this. Countries change. Economics shift. Nothing lasts forever. The Thailand that attracted me 8 years ago had every right to become a different Thailand, one that no longer works for men like me. But I'm 57 years old, and I need to be realistic about where my money goes furthest and where my future is most secure. Right now, that's not here. The taxi to the airport will arrive in 30 minutes. The apartment is empty now, or nearly empty. 12 boxes shipped to Portugal last week. 1 suitcase waiting by the door. 8 years compressed into what fits in an overhead compartment. I've been thinking about what to tell you. What advice to offer that might actually help, that isn't just another old man talking about his regrets. 7 reasons. I've watched them destroy men I knew. Romance scams that emptied bank accounts, some obvious and some so sophisticated the victims still don't fully understand what happened. Visa rules that changed without warning. Trapping men who'd built their lives on systems that no longer existed. Medical bills that wiped out retirements. Single diagnoses that transformed comfortable expats into desperate evacuees. Loneliness that no amount of sunshine could cure. Men drinking themselves to death in rented rooms because they'd run from emptiness rather than toward anything real. Legal systems that favored locals over foreigners. As legal systems everywhere tend to favor locals, but with consequences that Americans and Europeans didn't anticipate. Cultural walls that never came down, no matter how hard you tried to climb them. And underneath it all, the simple math of money, that stopped adding up. If you're watching this and you're thinking about moving to Thailand, I'm not telling you not to come. Thailand is beautiful. Thailand can be wonderful. I had genuine good years here, years I don't regret, experiences I'll carry forever. But come with open eyes. Understand the risks, not just intellectually, but viscerally, as real possibilities, rather than things that happen to other people. Have an exit plan. Keep enough money liquid to leave if you need to. Money that isn't tied up in Thai banks or Thai businesses or Thai relationships. Don't fall in love with someone who sees you primarily as a wallet. The genuine relationships exist here. They're just harder to find than the transactional ones. And the transactional ones are very good at pretending to be genuine. If a relationship brings constant financial requests, whether direct or through investment opportunities, you're being worked. Accept it and protect yourself. Don't invest in anything you can't afford to lose completely. Thai law doesn't protect foreign investors. Thai courts don't sympathize with Farang husbands whose wives took everything. Whatever you put into this country, assume it might disappear tomorrow. Don't assume the rules that apply today will apply tomorrow. Visa requirements change. Tax policies change. Enforcement priorities change. Build flexibility into your plans, because rigidity breaks when the system shifts beneath you. And understand, deeply understand, that no matter how long you stay, Thailand doesn't owe you anything. Not a home, not a future, not legal protection, not cultural acceptance, not even a place to be buried. You are a guest here. That's not a criticism. It's simply the reality. Guests can have wonderful experiences in places that aren't home. But guests who forget they're guests, who start believing they belong, who invest everything in a place that views them as temporary, those guests end up like Trevor, like Bob, like Dennis and Marcus and James and Eric, like me, packing my bags after 8 years, heading somewhere else to start again. The taxi is here. I can see it through the window, waiting in the apartment complex's small parking area. I'll miss the food. Thai food is extraordinary, and nothing in Portugal will compare. I'll miss the weather, the warmth that seeps into your bones after decades of English gray. I'll miss the friends who are still here, the ones who haven't left yet, the ones who've made peace with what Thailand is and what it isn't. I won't miss the uncertainty. I won't miss wondering if today's the day my visa gets revoked, or my pension stops converting to enough, or my heart decides to give out in a country where that costs more than I have. I won't miss being a perpetual outsider, tolerated but never truly welcomed. 8 years ago, I thought I'd found paradise. I thought I'd found the place where I'd live out my days, comfortable and warm and finally free from everything that had made England feel like a slow suffocation. I was wrong. Or, rather, I was right about some things and wrong about others, and the things I was wrong about mattered more than the things I was right about. Thailand gave me good years. It also showed me things I didn't want to see, about this country and about myself. It taught me that running toward paradise is often really running from something else, and whatever you're running from tends to follow you. I'm 57. I have, if I'm lucky, another 30 years. I need to spend them somewhere that makes sense, somewhere the math works, somewhere the systems protect me rather than extract from me. That's Portugal now. Maybe it will be somewhere else later. The world is full of places that seem like answers until they reveal themselves as just more questions. I pick up my suitcase. I take one last look at the mountains through the window. Goodbye, Thailand. It's been something. The door closes behind me. If this video helped you see Thailand more clearly, share it with someone who's considering the move. If you've had experiences like these, leave a comment. The more honestly we talk about this, the fewer men walk into situations they don't understand. Subscribe for more stories from the ground. Not the paradise version, the real version.